Hello, and welcome to this special interview as AeroTime marks the first year anniversary of our Women in Aviation campaign. My name is Victoria O'Brien, and joining me today is Captain Phatsima Kgomotso. Today, Phatsima is recognized across Africa as the founder and president of Dare to Dream, a non-profit organization that aims to encourage the advancement of young people, women, and girls in the aviation and aerospace industry and in STEAM subjects, that's science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and entrepreneurship. Phatsima founded Dare to Dream in 2011, and she has been featured on programs such as CNN African Voice, and she was also recognized by the Obama Foundation as an emerging leader in Africa for her work with the organization. She was one of the first female military pilots in the Botswana Defense Force, and it was during her time in the military that she founded Dare to Dream. Phatsima, thank you for joining us for our special anniversary. So first of all, I'd like to begin with getting you to tell us a bit about how your aviation journey began and why you decided to choose aviation as a career path.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you, AeroTime, for the opportunity to be part of this amazing campaign. I am Captain Kgomotso Phatsima. I'm the president and founder of Dare to Dream. I'm also one of the first female military pilots in Botswana Defense Force. How my aviation journey started is that I grew up from very humble beginnings in a small village called Ledumadumani, just a stone throw from Kgomotso International Airport in the capital city of Gaborone. I used to see aeroplanes flying over my mother's thatched roof house, and from an early young age, I knew I was born to fly. Because I knew where I wanted to go, I finished my high school with very, very flying colors. When I told my mother that I wanted to fly, she said, "We are too poor." She said during her time, a girl child could never even dream of flying planes. I should go to the university and become a teacher. With a heavy heart, I went to the University of Botswana and indeed became a teacher. I graduated from the University of Botswana with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Physics, and I was deployed at Good Hope Senior Secondary School as a teacher. After 8 months, the Botswana Defense Force decided to enlist its first female military pilots. This time around, I knew nobody was going to stand on my way. I applied, and then the requirement for the military pilot was that you have to have done a basic degree in any science subject, and that very degree that I was reluctant to do became the runway towards my flying career. I left teaching and joined the army, and that began my flying career.
Thank you. You spoke about your mother there, and I wanted to ask you, how did your relationship with your mother influence your formative years in the industry? Can you tell us a bit about that relationship and your journey to become a pilot?
My mother has said, we are too poor. During our time, a girl child could not even dream of flying an aeroplane. And indeed, we were too poor. I used to go barefoot to school because we were 7 of us, and my parents could not even afford to buy me school shoes. So even for me to have been dreaming about being a pilot was a far-fetched dream. But when I told her that I wanted to go to the army and join the army and become a pilot, she cried. But I told her, "No, mother, this is my dream. This is what resonates in my heart. This time around, please let me go and follow my dream. The first time you said I should become a teacher. So today, please let me go and become my dream." And then she didn't agree, actually. I just left home and said, this time around, nobody's going to stand on my way. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do whatever does resonate in my heart. Because when I was in teaching those 8 months, I felt like this is not what I want. This is not where I belong. So I wanted to go out there and do something that I really, really want and that really, really resonate in my heart. But my mother she was very, very not happy. But when I came back from after qualifying as a pilot, every time when there was an accident, there've been a lot of accidents. Every time when there's an accident, my mother would call me and ask me if it was me and ask me how I am doing. Yeah, she was always and ever afraid. But one thing that she told me was that my daughter, go to the university again and study again so that you can work in the office. Little did she know that the aeroplane is actually my office. The aeroplane is where I find completeness. But I took her advice and I went on to study a Master of Science degree in Strategic Management with a focus on aviation safety. And in the Army, I was an aviation safety specialist as well as a pilot. So I was doing both at the same time. So even if she was not happy, I did take her advice and studied further so that I can work in the office. But the aeroplane has always been my office.
Great. Has your mother ever been flying with you?
No, when we were graduating at the Botswana Defense Force, they asked them if they wanted to fly with us. They refused and said, "No, I don't want to fly with her. I don't want to fly." So she was always and ever afraid. And the other thing, that my mother was like 45 years older than me. I was born when she was 45. So you can see that the both of us grew in completely different generations. So she never really did fly with me. And I lost my mom when I was deployed in one of the anti-poaching activities in Okavango Delta. As I said, Botswana is very rich in elephants, it's very rich in rhinos, and there are a lot of elephants. So when I was deployed there, I lost my mother, and it has been one of the most hardest loss for me. I lost my friend. She was like my friend. My mother was like my best friend. We could just sit down without saying a word, and it felt like it was the best conversation ever. So when I lost her, I broke down, I broke apart, and then the Botswana Defense Force decided that I had to be recalled from the trip. I was recalled from the trip. I could not fly. They gave me 2 months, I think 2 months compassionate leave, and they sought for professional help, for someone who can help me in terms of counseling and all that. I stayed home for 2 months because I felt very bad that I lost my best friend while I was doing something that I loved. Had I been home to say goodbye to her, it was going to be better. So I stayed 2 months home, and all the time seeing a professional psychologist until I was strong enough to go back to work and fly again. This is one of the things that I always, even after I left the Army, I am very, very grateful to the Botswana Defense Force for being there for me during my most hardest time, when I lost my mom, when I was flying.
Gosh, it must have been a really tough time, and I'm glad you're able to get the support you wanted. And that you needed. I want to ask you about Dare to Dream, which you launched in 2011. And why did you launch the organization? And what does it mean to you? And can you describe for us some of the work that the organization does today?
Yeah. When I was growing up, I never sat down with a pilot, nor had I been inside of a flying machine until I had the opportunity to fly it. I started Dare to Dream after qualifying as one of the first female military pilots in Botswana Defense Force to inspire the next generation, but especially the girl child, and give them a chance that I never had. Like I said, Dare to Dream is an organization based here at Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub, dedicated to the advancement of youth, women and girls in STEAM as well as aviation and aerospace. STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and entrepreneurship. Like we know, the COVID-19 has changed the outlook of everything. We need to encourage our young people not only to be in the STEM careers, but also to consider careers as entrepreneurs in the STEM space. So what we do here at Dare to Dream, we teach young people robotics and coding. We do airport tours. We take them to fly. We have a partnership with Airbus Foundation. What we do with the Airbus Foundation is that young people come here at the Botswana Digital Innovation Hub. They learn how to assemble parts of model aircraft. We use the A380 model aircraft. From there, they do the programming. From there, we have a miniature runway where they check if the programming is correct. After that, now we partner with our national airline, Air Botswana, where we fly these young people. I'm very excited to tell you guys that just a few weeks ago, on the 12th of February 2022, in commemoration of the International Women and Girls in Science Day, we flew 60 60 young girls from different parts of Botswana, from Gauteng, from Bobonong, from Takatokwani. These young people, it was their first time to fly and their very, very first time to be at an airport. And it was so amazing. I'll share the pictures with you guys. You can see the clip. It was amazing. It was a beautiful experience for them. And I must say that this thing works because last year we took a team of young people from rural areas. They were doing the standard 7. These young people in the village, in the history of that primary school, the young people have never ever passed anything below 50%. We took them here to Botswana Innovation Hub. They came here to do the robotics and coding workshop. After they finished the robotics and coding workshop, we went with them to Sesarzakhama International Airport. We partnered with the Civil Aviation Authority of Botswana and the National Airline Air Botswana. We flew those young people. And then after that, the young people went back home. This year, in their final primary school leaving certificates, those young people, for the first time in the history of that village, they have passed with 73%. 73%, from 50 to 73%. Imagine if these programs like this were supported. Imagine this, it was not just one flight, one robotics code. Imagine if this was prolonged. We will change the narrative of Botswana, of the African continent. We will have more young people getting into the aerospace industry.
That's just astonishing to think that just a very sort of quite a simple trip like that could inspire them and make people work so hard. That's absolutely fascinating. And I wanted to ask you about the flight you took with those 60 young girls, and how did that come to be? And can you share with us some of the experiences and some of what they were saying from the flight deck? Were there any who were scared? Did they have to overcome any fears during that day? If you could just share with us a few more details of that day, because it sounds incredible.
Yeah, we had those 60 girls coming from different parts of Botswana, from underprivileged families and rural backgrounds, because you find that these young people, there is potential, there are dreams that are there, but because they are not exposed to these careers, because they're not exposed to this environment, they don't know anything other. So some of them, before they flew, they were very, very afraid. Some of them, they were looking forward to it. But once they got in the plane, they started dancing, they started appreciating it. Also, we are writing a book. It's called The 100 Diamonds, the 100 stories of young people in Botswana, young girls in Botswana. So those girls agreed even to be part of that book, which I will share with you guys once it's finished. We managed to capture the stories of 60 young girls, their hopes, their aspirations, where they want the world to go, where they want Botswana to go. So it was quite an amazing flight, and it was very, very touching when they told me that here at Dare to Dream, they learned that we women can achieve everything that we set our mind to. Also, I will also share with you guys the very clips of what the young girls were saying, the very clips when they were in the aeroplane, how they felt, how it has changed their lives. Yeah, so they vowed to me that this year they are going to do very, very well. We are going to call them again after 6 months in August to see how their results have changed from now to 6 months from now. So we are going to call them again. I think maybe you guys can set up another interview so that we can see how the girls have performed also, and share with you the book that we are writing, The 100 Diamonds, the story of 100 girls and their hopes and aspirations in Botswana.
That sounds great. I'm sure we'll definitely come back and revisit that. It would be amazing to hear how lives have changed as a result of this one flight. And what else can we expect from Dare to Dream in the future? What other projects? You mentioned the book just there. What other sort of visits and trips do you have planned with Dare to Dream?
Yes, in the meantime, I'm also an author. I have a book called Born to Fly, the story of a female military pilot rising in Africa. That book is available on Lulu website. The work that we do is very strenuous and very, very sacrificial in the fact that we don't have as many sponsors as possible. We only have Airbus right now that is supporting us, and you must say that most of our support comes from the international companies around, and because our own country, they haven't yet understood the technologies and that we are doing. But we hope that with interviews like this, we want to reach out to people and say, guys, please come on board, support us so that we can support more young girls and give them dreams. COVID-19 has really, really changed the landscape, more especially for women and for girls. There has been quite a lot of setbacks. We really need to do enough for these girls to go out there to inspire them that despite the challenges that we went through in COVID-19, they too have dreams and that dreams are valid. So I also got an invitation to come to Las Vegas to speak at the African Women Leadership Organization conference. I'm hoping to be in Las Vegas in June. I'm also trying to look for sponsorship so that companies can sponsor me to come and speak there. And one of the greatest things that happened last year is that CNN chose me as one of the African Voices Change Makers. We were also nominated by the International Air Transport Organization as a High Flyer Award nominee for young people who are building diversity and inclusion in the aviation and aerospace industry. This was a huge award for us. Even though we did not win that award, I must say that we are very, very honored for us to have been recognized by such a huge organization. And one of the things that happened, the lady who won, she works for McLaren Aviation. Her name is Lalita Lalita. So what she did is that me and her partnered together for sponsoring these young girls from rural areas so that they can come and fly with us. Even if we did not win, me and her came together and said, we are going to inspire young girls in Africa so that they can fly. So I was very, very inspired by her, by reaching out to her and say, thank you so much. Even if you are in the United Arab Emirates and you are working for McLaren, she reached out to us and helped young girls here in Botswana so that she can give them a dream of flight. Yeah.
That's great. It seems that the Dare to Dream and your campaign, it seems to have a real international resonance as well. And you spoke about some of the awards you just had. You've also been acknowledged by the Obama Foundation as an emerging leader in Africa. Yeah. What do you think makes Dare to Dream's message and story resonate so much with other people around the world?
Yes, I think Dare to Dream is not a dream of a Botswana child. It's a dream of an African child. It's a dream of possibility. It's a dream that shows that you can be a young girl walking barefoot to school in a rural village, coming from a very poor background, and you can rise up beyond the limitation of that village and grow and be recognized in the global arena. After being recognized, you can even still put down the ladder and help other young girls so that they can achieve more, even more than you have achieved. Yes, like you rightfully said, I have been recognized by the Obama Foundation. I was chosen by His Excellency President Obama, the 44th President of the United States of America, as one of the young people that are changing the narrative of the African continent. I was taken to United States for the International Visitor Leadership Program, a leadership tour of the United States. I think it was a 6-week leadership tour of the United States. From there, when I came back in the country, I was given an award by Her Majesty the Queen called the Commonwealth Point of Light Award. Point of Light is like we are pointing light for other young people, not only in Botswana, maybe across the world. I say this so much, and I'm so grateful to the Botswana Defence Force, to the Botswana government for deciding that women and girls should be pilots. Because when you empower a girl child, you don't only empower a nation or a village, you empower a nation, you empower a community, you you change the world, our message is reverberating across the world. Because if you put resources and empower women, amazing things happen, and they can even come together and create more echoes and create more sustainability for others that are coming. Just like my example with Lalita, who is now in the United Arab Emirates, who we just met because we were chosen and nominated by the International Air Transport Association as High Flyer Award winners.
It's fantastic. I think the teamwork is a key message. And you spoke about COVID-19 and how it's been more detrimental to women and children across the world, and I think across many industries as well, not just aviation. What do you see are some of the main challenges for women and girls to get into the aviation industry today? I mean, you mentioned the financing for yourself, but I imagine that's a big issue. What do you see as the main challenges?
I think I'll go back to what my mother said. When I told my mother that I wanted to fly, she said, during our time, a girl child could never even dream of flying. You see, it's culture and indebted in us that girls could not do some of the things. So I think as a nation, as the world, we must change and try to encourage girls to do these careers, even if they're male dominated, even if it's something that we are not used to. So we must start there. And then funding. If it wasn't for the Botswana Defence Force, I used to walk barefoot to school. My family could not even afford sometimes to put food on the table. Had it not been because of the Botswana Defence Force to sponsor me to go and fly, I would not even be here talking to you now. I would not even be here doing the work that I do at Dare to Dream and changing the lives of as many young girls as possible, not only in Botswana, but those who are watching online across the world. So a lot has to be done in trying to help young girls, young women, and give them sponsorship opportunities so that they can to be able to get into the aviation industry. As we know, it's a very, very expensive voyage. For you to sponsor yourself and be a pilot is very, very expensive. Right now, I've also even taken a break from my flying career, but I really want to go back. I'm looking for sponsorship. I'm looking for help, guys. So it's expensive. It's a very, very expensive voyage. So we really need resources. We really need companies to put resources out there so that we can help more young girls, more women get into this industry. Not only for them to be pilots, not only for them to be technicians or aeronautical engineers, but also to be leaders, to have a chief executive officer of Airbus, of Boeing, being a woman. That's what we need. We need to change the world and have mentorship for leadership for women, going to the highest level of aviation in our industry. Or, for example, for IATA, we have to have a woman out there being a CEO or a leader of IATA.
We certainly do. I think there's something about 4 female CEOs worldwide of airlines. It's not very good numbers. You spoke about the support you got from the military and how it was the Botswana Defence Force that enabled you to learn how to fly planes. Do you see that kind of support? Is that still available in Botswana? Are you seeing that kind of support in other African countries? Maybe not just in the military space, but also in the commercial aviation space.
A lot still has to be done. I don't think there is any other captain, any other young person who was given the support that I was given. For example, I started Dare to Dream when I was in the military. I traveled the world. I went to Dubai. I went to the United States. I went to South Africa, to all these conferences around the world when I was still in the army. So they allowed me to do that. So it's not every organization that has that vision to allow someone to reach their dreams and also to go outside even the constraints of work. And the military, you know how the military is. That's why I'm very indebted to the to the Botswana Defence Force. 2 weeks ago, I even went to see the commander and thank them for the work they did in grooming me and allowing me to expand my wings even beyond the military. What he said is that, but Phatsima, when you left, I wanted to refuse because I wanted to train you to be one of the first female air arm commanders. I saluted and said, it is not my wish for me to be a commander, but for you to see that in me, it means a lot. So I want to urge the airlines out there. I know there are programs, I know there are activities that are being done, but more should be done across the world, more especially here in Africa, more especially for the African females, more especially in the military. There are just a few number of us. I think less than 1% of the female WASP pilots come from the military. So we really need to encourage the airlines. We really need to encourage our African militaries to sponsor more women to get into the aviation industries. I stayed in the Army for 10 years and I left in April 2019. When I left, we had only 8 female military pilots and 1 aeronautical engineer in a space of 10 years. You see, so a lot still has to be done, even by our very own Botswana Defence Force. I told the commander when I went to see him 2 weeks ago, his name is Lieutenant General Placid Sekhuku, that say a lot has to be done. You really need to get more young people, more young girls to get into the aviation industry, the military, more especially technicians, not only engineers but technicians, those that are your air technicians and all that. These young people must be there so that we have more young people getting into the aviation and aerospace industry.
What would you like to see them do? Do you think there should be more trips to schools? Would you like to see the military sort of coming and visiting girls in the villages? Are you open to working more with the military and the airlines with your Dare to Dream Foundation?
Yes, we are open to working with the military. When I was there, when I went to see the commander of Botswana Defence Force, I told him that we are open to work with the military. We are open to work with the airlines. We are working with our airline here in Botswana, Air Botswana. And one of the things that we are doing, the Fly for STEAM Southern African Initiative, we started it in November 2020. To date, we have flown 600 young people from rural areas, from urban areas across Botswana. Our dream is to fly 1,000 young people across the country and take this initiative to 5 Southern African countries. We want to go to South Africa, to Namibia, to Zimbabwe, to Zambia, and to Angola, and impact 10,000 girls in Southern Africa. And we cannot do this on our own. We need support from the airlines in the region. We need support from the international community. We need support from the media, from yourself, AeroTime, to say that there are young people in Botswana who have the dream of changing the narrative of the continent. And Botswana is so strategically placed in the heart of Southern Africa. What a better way to say that we can do this across the African continent and say that this is not just the dream of a Botswana child, it's a dream of an African child, it's a dream of a South African child, Southern African child. This is why we need as much support as possible so that we can give more young people opportunities, more especially right now, giving them future skills, their robotics and coding future skills. COVID-19 has changed, the digital community has changed. We need more young people to have digital skills so that if they cannot find jobs in the aviation and aerospace industry, they can come up with solutions towards the industry that can change the world, not only for Botswana, but maybe even for the Southern African region. So we need support. We really want to make sure that we go to as many countries as possible and impact young people and fly with them and teach them robotics and coding.
Definitely. I want to ask you, what is I think there's probably a lot of memorable moments, but what would you say is the most memorable moment of your career so far?
I think the most memorable moment of my career is when I stepped down from the army. I was afraid, I must tell you, Victoria, I was very afraid. And my boyfriend told me that if you are going to leave that job, I'm leaving you. And he left me. And I was there and I was alone and I was confused. I didn't even know what I was doing. My family went behind my back and asked the commander that don't agree to let her go because she doesn't know where she's going. I was afraid. I was very, very shaking. I didn't know where I was going to land, but I landed here at the Botswana Digital Innovation Hub, and they have been very, very supportive to us ever since I left the Army since 2019. And I must say that even the Civil Aviation Authority of Botswana has been very, very supportive to me. They have given me 2 hangar plots inside Khama International Airport. Our hope and aspiration is to set up a youth aviation development hangar. We need partners to come on board, to come and partner with us so that we can set up this hangar. We are hoping also to buy our own aircraft. We want to buy a Cessna Grand Caravan this year. God permitting, we really want to buy it for ourselves so that we can fly. We have been flying, yes, with Air Botswana, but now the airspace is opening. Sometimes the airline is busy. They are not able to give up the plane. So we want to have our own aircraft so that we can be able to do our programs to reach more young people in the rural areas, because I had an opportunity to land anywhere in the country, whether it's the airstrip, whether it's an international airport. I know the country, like the back and forth of the country. So I know where we can go out there and also help more young people in rural areas when you have a grand caravan. So I'm hoping that investors and people will come on board and help us set up the Youth Aviation Development Hangar, not only for young people in Botswana, to make it a hub for young people in Southern Africa, those who can come in and also learn the skills that we are learning from your Airbus, from our robotics and coding initiatives with Twin Science and all the companies that we are working with.
Great. And my final question for you today, Phatsima, what message would you like to share for the younger generation, the young women, the young girls, young boys and young men as well, who are looking to enter the industry, and to people who are pushing for diversity and inclusion in the industry?
I'll start by sharing this message to the young girls, the young boys who are watching me and celebrating me and thinking, how did she go there? And I want to say that be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. It is not going to be easy. A lot of doors are going to be closed on your face. A lot of people are going to doubt your capabilities. But go out there and make sure that you make your dream come alive as a young girl, as a young person, not only in Africa, but across the world. And then I also want to reach out to the companies that are pushing for diversity and inclusion across the world. For example, your Qatar Airways that was sponsoring the International Air Transport Association High Flyer Award winner. That let us come on board, put more effort, put more resources. I know that you are doing a lot, but put more resources to fund such initiatives that are pushing diversity and inclusion in the aviation and aerospace industry, so that we can change the narrative of our own industry. We can change everything that is going on. And most importantly, what I want to reach out to that, we need more female CEOs in airlines across the world, in the armies, in the Botswana Defense Force, Air Arm. We need more female representation there. And Air Arm commander as a female, I know that I told my commander that I did not want to become a commander, but we need more women there. When women are given a chance, when women are empowered, when women are given opportunities, amazing things happen. They do not only look at themselves, they put down the ladder for others to come with their nature. As it's something that is very good when it comes to women. So a lot of companies, I want to urge them to come on board, even yourself, AeroTime, come on board, help us, help the whole world, put out there in the media that we really need to put more women in the aviation and aerospace industry to build diversity and inclusion. Thank you.
Right, well, thank you, Phatsima. That brings us to the end of this interview, but not to the end of our time together. So first of all, I want to say a big thank you to you for your time and for sharing all of your incredible stories and the work that you've done. And now I'm going to pass over to the AeroTime Chief Executive, Richard Stevenson, who's going to join us. Richard, it's over to you.
Well, Victoria, thank you very much. And Phatsima, thank you for being here today and for sharing your thoughts, your experiences with us. I really want to acknowledge your dedication, your perseverance, and your contribution to promoting and advancing education across the aviation sector, and for everything that you do to encourage the next generation of aviators, much of which we've been hearing about today during this interview. And I am sure that anybody listening to this will be as impressed and inspired as I am right now. And it's with that very much in mind that it is my very great pleasure to virtually present you with the AeroTime Aviation Achievement Award. Now, this award is made by the Global Executive Committee of AeroTime. And I would like to read to you the citation. It says, presented to Captain Phatsima Kgomotso in recognition of her dedication and commitment to the aviation industry, for her leadership and work in empowering and supporting the next generation of aviators, for her efforts to advocate and advance the education of women and girls in STEAM subjects, and in the aviation and aerospace industry through her organization, Dare to Dream. The AeroTime Global Executive Committee recognizes the positive influence and significance of these efforts and their impacts on the aviation industry and its people, both today and into the future. So Phatsima, congratulations. I'm so sorry that I can't be there to meet you in person and to hand over this certificate and the trophy that goes with it in person. But I can promise you that this will be winging its way to you in the very near future. And we hope that this will serve as a reminder to you of both our appreciation for everything that you do, but also the gratitude of so many people for your efforts over many years. So thank you so much.
Wow. Wow, you made my day. You made my day. Thank you so much, AeroTime Hub, for the award. I really appreciate so much. And this touches my heart to the core, because even when I did not win the International Air Transport Association High Flyer Award, they did send me a recommendation letter that they see what we are doing. They are acknowledging what you're doing, and this again, it shows that we really have to keep going, keep moving, keep changing our industry. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Yes.
Well,
thank you.
Phatsima, we really appreciate you, and I can tell you that as the team were researching your work and everything you've done and everything you've achieved and everything you do today, there was no doubt at all to any of us that you were going to be one of the latest recipients of this award. So congratulations to you. I very much look forward to meeting you in person at some point in the future. But for now, this is your award. Enjoy the moment. Thank you very much. Congratulations, and back to Victoria.
Great, Phatsima. I'm just going to say congratulations as well. You truly deserve this award, and it's been an absolute joy and honor to speak to you today. Thank you for joining AeroTime during our special anniversary, and for sharing your story and your remarkable passion for supporting women and young girls to pursue careers in aviation. I've got no doubt at all that our viewers and any young dreamers hearing your message will be inspired to spread their wings. So that brings us to the end of this AeroTime interview, but please stay tuned for more content from our Women in Aviation campaign celebrations. I'm Victoria O'Brien, and you've been watching AeroTime. Goodbye.